Today on the show, strategy plus action equals catapulting your business growth with expert advertising. Great coaches and consultants like you have the ability to change people's lives and transform entire organizations. And your impact can often go far beyond the clients you work with. One of the reasons I love working with coaches and consultants is because of that ripple effect. This show is here to highlight your expertise and empower you with resources and new ideas to grow your business. Welcome to Strategy in Action. Janet E. Johnson is on the show today, and we have a blast talking about all things ads, specifically Facebook, Instagram, TikTok ads, really getting into the nitty-gritty on some of this, on what to expect, and all the amazing work that Janet and her team will do for you simply because they've done this so much and they're in those platforms constantly with all of their clients. It's such a shortcut when you're ready for that growth, right? You're at that stage in your business where, okay, now it's time to, I've got my business dialed in, and I just need more. I need more leads, more conversations. So let's add fuel to that influx and to start in this ads process. And Janet and her team, certainly they create the ads, but it's so much more. Not only defining audiences and all of that, but they're really digging into the testing side of it and what's working, what's not, getting those minimums in there to make sure that there's enough data for them and you to make those decisions on what's working or not. And then at that point, it becomes math, right? It becomes, okay, I'm getting X amount of dollars out by putting X amount of dollars in. Let's put more in. We'll get more out, working through that entire system and getting to that place. And, we outline exactly who should be reaching out to Janet and her team, but also the when, right? Like there's a certain point in your business and what you need dialed in before you reach out to get the most from her service and from the most from running ads, period. So really, really strong. We have a lot of fun with this one. Let's jump in. Janet E. Johnson, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Jason. I look forward to it.
Yes, of course. I'm so glad that we got connected and had a couple of calls. I've been on your show. Thank you so much for that. That was an absolute blast. And as we dug in and, I got to understand more about what you do. We have very similar audiences of coaches, consultants, experts, in their respective areas. And one thing that I haven't really covered a lot on this show is your expertise, which is ads. You've got some specific platforms that you really help people with. And I love this topic because it's so important, especially if you really want to scale, right? You get to that point. And it's also, if you've done any of this at all, that you need someone who knows what they're doing in these areas, because just because you can run an ad on your own doesn't mean you should run an ad on your own. So I love that. So thank you for being here to talk about this topic. But even before we kind of dig into the nitty gritty around that, I'd love to know what's kind of brought you to this point to have this as your specialty.
Yeah, that's an interesting question because, I started out with eBay, selling on eBay back in the day. So that's that kind of got me hooked to the internet. And that if I say the year, it just ages me, but I can say it, I suppose, 1998. So way back when. And then I kind of got the love of the internet and I did blogging, affiliate marketing. I was setting up people's profiles on MySpace. Facebook wasn't even cool back then. So, I just transitioned over the years because the world of the internet, obviously since 1998, has transitioned. We don't have a choice anymore. And so my business in turn ended up transitioning over and over and over again. So I used to put people SEO, top of Google, I approached business owners. I used to do all their social media. I used to post on Twitter, post on all the different platforms. And then it got too big. So then I had to narrow down a little bit and go, okay, which side of the fence am I choosing? Am I going to choose the social media side, or am I going to choose the Google SEO side? And then I chose social media, but then I ended up even having to niche that down further. Like I always say to people, I'm not the LinkedIn expert. I'm not the Twitter expert. I'm not like, I've had to shift my business. So I really became focused on Facebook and Instagram mainly. But then it was back in 2017, I went through, hired a business coach. And at that time, we really decided to focus my entire business on the ads side of it, because that's where people truly see a return on investment. Now, we do still have some social media management clients, not many. It's not really what we do. But the bottom line is you could post all day long, 24/7, and still get zero results with your organic social media. But that's not what's going to happen with your advertising. So bottom line is it's where I could serve my clients with an ROI. And that's why I shifted to that many years ago. And now, because it changes, we're on TikTok ads too. So we're doing a lot with TikTok ads.
I love that. And that's really important too, because as you scale your business, right? Like as you when you're starting out, sure, like have your organic content, and you should always have that, should always be part of your arsenal, right? Having that organic content out there, and
Sure.
you can get some results over time. And it's, again, a great place to start. But just like as you grow your business, you start to bring on either team members or contractors or resources, you put systems in place. This is one more aspect of that as you grow, and if you really want to grow your practice into a full-fledged business, well, you need some reliability when it comes to the influx of leads, direct sales, whatever that may be. But at least have that aspect. If you've got that sales funnel dialed in, you know how many leads are going to come in there. And then this is where the real meat comes in too, of bringing in an expert to do it, because there's so many variables, not only to getting it and understanding platforms and where you should really spend your money and how to start. It's also what you're great at is the testing and getting that data. And I'd love to kind of get your insight on that, and where you start people, when they come into your world and like, okay, I'm ready, let's do this. I'm serious about this now. Where do you start with them, and maybe how does that shift depending on platform?
Yeah, well, and I get a lot of variable of people that come to me, but the preferred variable is somebody that has their sales funnel dialed in. So meaning they have a sales funnel. I get a lot of people that come to me that haven't ever built one. So meaning, they have a landing page created, they have maybe a master class or a VSL, video sales letter, or there's so many different things we can do. But bottom line is they have something there and they've tested it and sold it with people. That's the better way to come to me. And I'll tell you why, because if that part isn't working properly, my ads, I can get my ads to work, the ads for you. But the bottom line is then we have to fix that broken part on the back end if you haven't pre-tested it. Now, do I have clients come to me that they've maybe sold like 5 of their, whatever they're selling on the back end, courses, coaching? Yes. And that can be challenging. But the one thing I will say with ads is you get the traffic there and you learn what is working and what is not working. So that is the key, because one of the things we do is when we start with somebody, obviously the number one thing I do is review that funnel, because sometimes the copy is not really good when they have it. And because I've been on the internet so long, I've studied copywriting, I know all this. I don't do it for you, but I will review it, because if that doesn't work, my ads won't work. So if that helps answer your question. Now, the next layer I will go into is that we then do set it up. We set up the ads, we test, and then we look at certain numbers, certain data. We know what the click-through rate should be, the cost per click. We know what is the landing page conversion rate. That's going to make a big difference. Are they opening your emails? What's the open rate on your emails? So we go and look at the entire funnel, not just the ads.
I love that too, because that's, if you haven't jumped in and really done this, people often, they just think about that ad, right? They think about that even within the ad and the targeting of that ad, there are so many variables, that could be the cause of something working or not working, much less the destination of that ad and the actions that you're, wherever they go, having that. So I love that distinction. And that's exactly, the use case, right? Of yes, do organic. Yes, bring on clients. Have these folks out here. Have this proven system, which even, with working with you, maybe they've sold 100 of these things. Maybe they'll sell 1,000 though, with some of this data coming through that is not just the ads and more traffic, but actually making the whole thing better, and tweaking that aspect of it as well, which is really strong. And that's the thing. It really is. It's so wild when you get into all the different things that could be why something's working or not working. Sometimes it's an incongruency, right, of the ad to landing page. Like they've clicked here, but now they've landed somewhere that doesn't match. And obviously, that's the expertise that you have to make sure those things match and flow together. And also, I know from one of our previous conversations too about it, because of your history with it and your expertise, you've been doing this with so many clients that those numbers that you talked about hitting, if this is a, add to a free webinar that should convert down to here, those benchmark numbers. And that's the other thing of just, I think it's so helpful and refreshing to like, oh, okay, there's a resource for this, because that's another aspect. Okay, I did this thing, I got these results. Are they good? I don't know, And so when you have you to come in and help with that, that's another really strong thing. So I love that. You have some of those sort of, even if it's percentages, right? Of
Yep. Yep.
And let's get into that nitty gritty a little bit too, right?
Okay.
Like I'd love to what some of those benchmarks are, but also touch on the fact that, what makes a good data set, right? Like what are we talking about in terms of spend and the amount of traffic to come through?
Got it. Okay. Those are really good questions. When I start with any client, I pretty much ask for a minimum of $1,000 a month. That's one of my number one questions asked. What do I have to spend? So, we can start out with, $20 a day is the lowest benchmark you can go with TikTok advertising, just FYI. So that kind of tells you, okay, that's the lowest. So my recommendation, if you can get $30, $40, $50 a day, we're going to obviously get data faster. It's just the power of, more money, the more data faster, the quicker we can make changes. But, we do want to sit on things for a while. I have one client we started a year and a half ago at $50 a day. Now they're at $50,000 a month. So that's the power of scaling. So $50 a day to $50,000 a month.
And I want to make that quick distinction too, is that number one, on that first beginning spend, it's like you're finding that sweet spot of enough to get that information in, but not too much, because there's not results yet. Like we want to make sure we're really pouring in money when something's working. And to your point with that client, the entire reason they would then go spend $50,000 a month is because, okay, it's dialed in, it's working, and now it's math time, right? Like more in, more out.
Yeah, that's what I kept telling them. I'm like, why are we going up, 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 up? But because they get minimally 2x return, but on up to 20 plus x return. So yeah, they get a good return. So we know, we look at all the data along the way. So the bottom line is when you get started, we look at, we have nothing. Like, we know what our goal is. But we know how to write copy. We know creatives. We know all the different pieces. So we put all of that in place first. Then once we launch, then we go, okay, these are the criteria we're looking for. Now, I actually do have on my website, janetjohnson.com, right at the top, there is a benchmarks cheat sheet for Facebook and Instagram. So it gives you all these numbers. So there you go. That's an easy way to get these numbers. But that's a little different than TikTok ads. So, I mean, it depends on which criteria we're looking at. So for TikTok ads, we really focus on looking at number one at click-through rate. That's my biggest thing, because that kind of tells you if your creative's working or not. And creative it's a video. I mean, it's like, that's what we've got. So we need that video to be performing. If it's not, then we need another video or another video or another video. So, and I could give you a whole slew of tips on how to create those videos fast. But the bottom line is we look at 1% or above, and preferably even 1.5% or above as the click-through rate. So if we launch, and I don't say in one day, we don't say in 24 hours, we need this to run a couple of days to get the data. And then once we know, we look at it, we kind of can tell within 24 hours, maybe, which direction it's going to go. But the bottom line is, if it's at like 0.4% or 0.5, I'm like, how is this ever going to get to 1.5%? It's pretty tough. So it could be an audience thing, possibly, but typically it's a creative. So those are the two variables. You don't have as much to work with on TikTok ads. So you've got really the creatives, your biggie, and then you've got audiences. Those are kind of, whereas on Facebook, you have copy to play with, headlines, you can do graphics, not just videos. So there's a lot of different things to play with over there. I call it play. I guess it's fun for me, but not for others. It's a game.
Yeah. This is another reason I love that you are out there doing this, because the last thing I want to do is test and iterate, because it makes my head do all this. So, but I understand it's important. Just like I don't want to be a doctor. I don't want to cut people. I'm glad they're there. I'm glad they're taking care of stuff. So, Dr. Johnson, I'm glad you're there doing all this ad work and data work.
That's great. Never recorded doctor before, but okay.
Dr. TikTok. When you're starting these two, are you starting with kind of one, or do you immediately start with like an A/B for these different platforms?
Everything. I do not launch ads without A/B. Like, there's no point. You got to be constantly testing. So with TikTok, the videos are the key thing. The key. Now, there is such a thing called Spark ads, so that makes it a little more difficult. Spark ads are what bring the video that's on your profile. You can grab that video, and then you can get the organic reach numbers, views, as well as the ads. So it can put your video views really high and bring you in more organic. So if we're trying to do that, then we might do one video, that Spark video, and then we would do 2 audiences or something like that. But it is recommended to launch with 1 audience and 5 videos, believe it or not. So that's for TikTok. But with Facebook, when it comes to that, I don't say always, because it depends on the brand and what we need to do, there. But I'd say typically we do at least a video, a graphic, and a GIF as well. So we like to do 3 there. And that's the creative. So we typically start with creative, and we kind of just go, okay, what's the best audience? Or we choose big, broad audiences. Those have tended to work super, super well on TikTok, especially lately. So, I mean, not even putting any interest in, believe it or not. So that's a big tip for you. If you try TikTok ads. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. That's one of those two that I've heard about, like really on both platforms too, of just like, don't be targeted at first, like find what's grabbing and resonating, and then you can, okay, who's resonating, and then you can start to dial that in. That's really strong. you mentioned the well, first I want to clarify too, like this is you and your team are creating the ads. Like I know the funnel should exist already, landing page and all that of your client, but you're doing all the creative, correct?
Sometimes, I mean, we do most of it, but I do recommend clients get on video, especially if you're a coach, consultant, you're selling your own. And if you want your TikTok Spark ad and you have to post that, you actually have to post it on your TikTok and then we pull it in. But I will review it and look at it ahead of time. And then sometimes you send me the videos and we have a video editor that does it. And I have worked with clients that they don't need to necessarily be on video. And we have a TikTok video guy on our team that creates the videos, knows how to, trending music makes a difference. There's a lot of different things. And he can even, Facebook videos, it doesn't matter where it is, we can create videos for you. But I always recommend trying to get on video yourself.
Yeah, it's definitely powerful, especially on TikTok. I mean, that's just the platform itself rewards that so much, for sure. And then you mentioned you had a couple of tips for folks if they do want to create just TikTok videos or ads fast. What would that be?
Well, what the most important piece of a video, especially on TikTok, but both, any platform, Instagram, Facebook, you name it, is the first 3 to 5 seconds. If you do not catch their attention within that first 3 to 5 seconds, and you want to hit on like, what is their problem? What would resonate with that? Like for instance, if I was trying to reach my audience, I would say, are you generating consistent leads? There's a question for it, and how fast is that could be one option. I could say, are you ready to scale your business? There's a second option. So you can do a core video, and then you can do 3 clips on the end and 3 clips at the beginning and 3 clips on the end. We can take those clips and if you're working with us, we can put it all together. And then that can actually create 9 different videos.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Because that way now you're testing the hook, you're testing that close, you're testing the call to action.
Yeah. Call to action at the end. You want 3 different ones. You could test those too. So it's basically, the hook on the front end, the calls to action on the back end, 3, and then a main body.
And what's the criteria with somebody coming to you with in terms of what they're doing and what they want to accomplish, on whether or not you steer them to Facebook, to Instagram, to TikTok, or is it do it all?
No, I will say that I have been steering people away from TikTok ads lately if they are certain clients. So because I've learned the hard way, when you live and you test things and you try it, local businesses, I don't think it's big enough yet for them. So when you geo-target to a certain area, TikTok's not there yet. 90% of the population, let's just say, is on Facebook and Instagram. Because Facebook owns Instagram, it's both platforms that you have to pull from. That's a lot of people. But TikTok's not, it's growing super fast, but it's a segment of your audience. So for you and me, like that, it would make sense. TikTok ads have worked very, very well for me. But I could target the whole world, but I target mainly United States, Canada, that kind of thing. But it's geo-targeting. You have a segment of the audience. I know not all my audience is on TikTok, of course not, but there's a segment. But then if you could geo-target it, you're segmenting that segment, and it just gets too small. And like I said, that bigger, broader audience with these platforms tends to work better. And so it just didn't work well for the smaller businesses. Yet, I will add the yet, because I'm sure it will come.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I imagine. This may not mean anything when it in the ad side of things. I know on the organic side of things that the TikTok algorithm is vastly different than the other platforms, and those platforms are actually trying to shift and change theirs. That big differentiator is TikTok's is very interest-based algorithm. Like, it doesn't matter if you're connected or following. If you're interested in this thing, they're going to feed you that thing. does that factor in on the ad side of things as
It
well?
does. It definitely does, because you can target hashtags, which you can target. So if people are searching hashtags, then you can target those people that have searched those hashtags. For instance, like if I was wanting to do it, could put in hashtag lead generation for my audience. Hashtag. Even you could put in people too. So you got to think people, like who are the influencers in your industry or people that you're targeting. So there's a lot of things you could do with the hashtags alone, but then there's the interest. So it feeds from the algorithm of what people are interested in. If they're interested in a certain topic and they're following it, you could target those people with your interest. So yes, it's very, very good there. The downfall right now is the retargeting isn't as good and strong as Facebook ads. So the retargeting piece still has the uploading of the lists isn't quite possible like Facebook yet. So they're just still working on, you do light retargeting there, but not quite as robust as you can with Facebook.
Gotcha. So like the lookalike audiences and things like that isn't quite there.
They have it, but we found that it's just lookalikes okay. But like, let's say you were uploading an email list, you can't do that right now with. So let's say you have 5,000 people on your email list and you want to target that list. You got to go do that on Facebook at the moment. So it's that type of thing but you can retarget people that have watched your videos and people that have watched other content creators' videos. So there's a lot of things there to play with for sure. It's just, like I said, there's pluses and minuses to each of the platforms.
Yeah, that makes sense. So you touched on this a little bit on where you'd like folks to be with what they have in place when they come to you. But what is that? Either I've got this, I qualify, or I need to go get this in place when they're at that right time for reaching out to you for ads?
I've worked with every spectrum. My preference, like I said, is somebody that has the landing page. And if they maybe, let's say they own ClickFunnels, they built some things, but they're not sure it's refined and they're not sure that, it's ready for ads. Well, I will review that and we can always tweak it too. But it's not something that I don't want to build their entire funnel. So where it's the best, of course, is if somebody knows what a sales funnel is and has that in place. Unless it's a local business, I will say, because local businesses we can do directly through lead ads, directly through messenger ads. They don't maybe need a landing page. So local businesses are a little bit different, but we are talking coaches, consultants, course creators. If they have a course on the back end, I don't want to just go directly to that course either. So my goal would be a masterclass, webinar, even email list building. We have done so much with email list building. We're really good at it. We've done lots and lots of email list building. And obviously my goal is, are they converting on the back end? So you've got to have those emails in place, that the sequence that's really good so that we can convert them to sales on the back end. So there's a lot of, so knowing that sales funnel piece is very good. Obviously I know people that I can refer people to, but I, prefer that to be documented, and at least you put it out there to a few people, so that that it can convert on the back end.
Yeah. And so touch on that email piece for me. Where do you and your team come in with that? Is it, crafting that entire thing and following up in a system around that? Or is it simply the ads to get to that and then again, kind of a review?
Second option that you just said. Exactly. So we prefer that they have them written, that they put them together. The thing is, everybody comes to me with a different platform. I cannot physically possibly learn every single platform. Now, there's the Kartra, there's the Kajabi, ClickFunnels, there's Squarespace, there's WordPress, there's you name it, Shopify. I could go on and on and on and on. And I do know a lot about a lot of those, but I don't, implement in that back end. So I will show them. And a lot of times I've walked clients through, like, we have to put a pixel on the website, and I will go to YouTube and figure out their software. You know what I mean? And we do figure it out together. But the bottom line is I prefer people to, they put that together, we review it and give them suggestions and say, you know what, you've got to tweak this, you've got to, and even some people have been like, your email sequence, you're opening at like 5% and you should, on the first email, I've never had that quite that bad, but 20% is the average. On the first email, you should be like at 60, 80, 90% on the very first email. But bottom line is it's if we see that, then I either tell them, I'll review it, but I'm not that expert. Like that is not necessarily, I'm not the email sequence expert. Do I know it? Sure. And I will review it, but I always do, if it's really bad, I recommend, maybe you want to find somebody that really can do a great job on this.
Oh yeah, because that's, again, one more, like, I mean, that's a specialty in and of itself, big time. That's huge for sure.
What?
But I love that too. And I love, that's another layer for folks to think about too, is not just like, oh, I'm going to sell my coaching. There's some ads, but we all know the power of an amazing email list and to be able to use ads that way and to go into it with that mindset and with that goal in mind, I think it's fantastic too. So besides what they have kind of in place, where are folks in their business, right? To where, okay, now it's time to add fuel. Now it's time to kick on the ads button. What just as a business, where should they be? What should they have in place before they come to you with that? Like, again, not just like a landing page and this and that, but in terms of growth and wanting to scale.
A solid offer. And one of my questions that I ask when I'm talking to a potential client is, what are the price points of your offers? Like, if you have a $97 course that you want to pay me and pay for ads, it's not going to work. Like, you're going to be in the negative. So you've got to have a certain price point, and B, my goal would be you'd have a higher ticket offer, like coaching. So maybe you have an online course. For instance, with the client that does $50,000 a month, we have 2 different funnels. So let's talk about those funnels. One is a free book plus shipping. So they basically have a book written. They send out the hard copy of the book, and the people have to pay the shipping. They want them to spend money on the front end. Some people do the freebies. I get it. But this client specifically wanted them to spend money, so they document their money spenders. Like, it's, if they're tend to be a little higher quality lead if they've already pulled out their wallet, pulled out their credit card. So they do 2 different funnels, that one, and then they do another one that is a course that is $77. Now, we collect the name and email before, so there's a trick too, before they go to the cart page so that we get all the leads. So even if they don't buy, we do collect their information. So we are doing the list building side, but it's not just list building. They actually have a sales team that contacts everyone. So that's, it's a bigger ticket. So their tickets are 10. Now, I'm not telling people they have to have this size ticket, but a higher ticket is better. Like 3,000, 4,000, 5,000. They're 5,000 to 30,000. So they're very, much higher ticket. But on the front end, they're making a little bit of money. But then on the back end, they have that higher ticket. So I always walk people through before I even take them on for advertising, like what are your offers, and do you have something bigger that you could bring them to so that you could recoup your ad dollars and get a return on ad spend.
Yeah, that's great. Because that is it. Yeah, you could have the $97 course like you talk about, but it's like that needs to be a loss leader, an entrance into your, because a percentage of those are going to scale up. And yeah, I've had those conversations, in past lives, past roles too, of, having the person who sells this barbecue sauce on their site and they want to run ads and, or pay for SEO or any of that stuff. Well, yeah. And you're just like, I promise you it's not going to work. Like we need to find creative ways for you to, get yourself out there, for sure. So that's really strong. Yeah, I I love that. I love that book model that they're using is really, really strong, because that covers so much of ad costs, and it's just, people are paying to come on and be a lead, right? In that, and then as well as, even it's not going to cover all of it. They're gonna it's that intent of that buyer is really great too.
Yeah,
So
they convert a lot of people that don't buy too. So that's why we collect those leads ahead of time. We get a phone number as well, because, they're all about, just the leads coming through, but obviously we have that purchase piece as well, but they convert both sides.
Oh yeah, that's great. Well, fantastic. How does somebody reach out and go, I need Dr. Johnson. I need the TikTok doctor.
Making me feel like I need to change my branding now. You'd be the
yeah,
doctor.
I'm sure you would be in no. That's right. There'd be no trouble you'd get into at all for just suddenly being a doctor. I think all you gotta do is you can get a blue check mark on Twitter now. You can just pay for that. Dr. Janet E. Johnson.
That's great. Well, it's just janetejohnson.com. That's the easiest. We do a lot. My Instagram is probably like my biggest push of lots of weekly content. We do a video every single week. So just go to janetejohnson.com. Like I said, we have the free guide for Facebook. We have another one going on for TikTok as well. So find me on my website and you can just hit the contact. And if you want to follow me on Instagram, Facebook, don't reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm terrible with it. As you know, Jason referred me to somebody like 5 days later.
Yeah. The one business to business platform where your people are. Okay. Fair enough.
No, I got to get better. But I walk my talk and I live on Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram. So there you go.
Exactly. Fair enough. Thank you so much for being on. This is fantastic. I love what you're doing and how you built, and I appreciate the insights around all of this.
Thanks for having me, Jason.
Absolutely. And we'll see you all next time.
Thanks so much for tuning in and being a part of this show. If you want help creating authority-building video content or even a client-generating show of your own, go to MediaLeadsCo.com and let's connect. I'll talk to you soon on the next Strategy in Action.